Matt Morris, who missed the first 3 months of the season with a strained right shoulder, has come off the disabled list to pitch very, very well. Let's take a look at the lineup that he'll face for the New York Mets in tonight's opener of this 3-game set. Tony Phillips, right field leading off with Edgardo Alfonzo at second, and John Olerud looking to get into the Mets record books with that 23-game hitting streak, one off the club mark at first, followed by Piazza, Huntley, McRae, and then Baerga, Ordonez, and Leiter for the New York Mets. And so Matt Morris, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 210 pounds, out of Seton Hall University, turned 24 years of age yesterday. His first outing in almost a week. Pitched a complete Game 4 hitter at Milwaukee on Tuesday, beating them 2-1, and he threw a lot of pitches. His first one tonight is wrapped right down to the first baseman, Mark McGwire, and Tony Phillips is retired, 1 man away. In that game against Milwaukee, Matt Morris threw 131 pitches.
Well, he's thrown 1 so far in tonight's ball game, and we're on a pace now to set the fastest game in the history of the game. 51 minutes was the fastest game ever played.
Morris will now go after Edgardo Alfonzo. Fonzie's bat starting to come alive on this road trip. He had 5 hits in Denver and 13 times up. I guess Greg Maddux is about the only guy you can count on to get you done in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Alfonzo hits it pretty well to right field. Jordan towards the line, but that's a fair ball, and it hops into the crowd. Alfonzo has a ground rule double. So with 1 out, the Mets get a man in scoring position.
Alfonso showing signs of getting out of that prolonged batting slump he has been in. And the defense for the Cardinals, Ron Gant in left field, Ray Langford in center, Brian Jordan in right field, Fernando Tatis at third base, Luis Ortiz at shortstop, Pat Kelly at second, Mark McGwire at first base, and Tom Bagnazzi, the catcher.
So Alfonzo in scoring position for Olerud, who takes the first pitch inside, and here's what John Olerud stands to do. With a base hit tonight, he would tie Hubie Brooks for the longest hitting streak in Mets history. Hubie hit in 24 in a row back in 1984. Fouled away, a ball and a strike. John Olerud has a 26-game hitting streak in his career. That came in 1993 with the Toronto Blue Jays. That was the year that John hit .363 and won the American League batting title. Alfonzo leads away, and the pitch inside. 2 balls and a strike now on Olerud.
Howie, only one player has won the National League and American League batting titles, Ed Delahanty, and he did it back in the National League in 1899 and in the American League hitting .376 in 1902.
When he did it in 1899, there was no American League at that time. I guess they consider the modern era from, depends on who you talk to, either 1900 and beyond or 1903 or 1901 when the American League came into existence.
Delahanty, one of 5 brothers who played in the major leagues.
That's a strike, and so the count now full to Olerud.
And he died a very strange death. He was on a train that got put off at Niagara Falls. The next time I saw him, he was dead at the bottom of the falls.
Didn't know they had to stop at Niagara Falls in those days.
They stopped the train to throw him off the train, and it was said that he was drinking at the time.
So Morris issues a 1-out walk to John Olerud, and the Mets have 2 on with 1 man out, and Mike Piazza coming up. Tony La Russa's current claim to fame, his idea to bat the pitcher 8th. Talk more about that when the Cardinals are at bat in the last of this inning, but right now it's Piazza in the cleanup spot. They shade him towards right. And the first pitch, a fastball away. Piazza has 4 hits and 6 trips against Morris. You see the outfield just a step or 2 the other way, where Piazza has outstanding power.
Lost a 2-run home run to right field in the game of Colorado.
Yeah, he almost had another one yesterday, but Larry Walker went over the wall to take one back. It's pretty much equal distribution on the part of Piazza. Fastball upstairs, and so Morris now behind 3-0. Basically, he's a fastball curveball pitcher. And with those 3 months on the disabled list, the Cardinals were concerned about his rhythm and how quickly he'd be able to find the success that he had last year. Of course, Piazza handled him well in those limited times against him last season, but Morris was terrific, finishing 3rd in the National League's Rookie of the Year voting. Fastball for a strike there, 3-1. Morris, Donovan Osborne, who just came back, and Alan Bennis, who's still on the DL, all out with injuries for good chunks of this season. One of the reasons, really the main reason, the Cardinals have struggled. Lately, though, they're hot, having won 5 straight. And a breaking ball, 3-1. He hits the outside corner. Good pitch by Morris, and now it's full to Piazza. So what do you do with the runners here? 3-2, 1 out. Piazza's had some trouble delivering as a New York Met in this department. Alfonso at second, Olerud at first. They're off to the races, and the pitch hit deep to left center, and that's going to go to the wall. 1 run has scored as Alfonso crosses the plate. Here comes Olerud. No throw to the plate on Olerud. Piazza has a stand-up double. The Mets are leading by a score of 2-0. So as terrific as Morris was his last time out against Milwaukee, he's having first-inning problems. The Mets have reached him for a pair.
And Piazza coming through with a big base hit for 2 RBIs, hitting .272 before the double with runners in scoring position. Those averages will go up.
And Todd Hundley, his average actually went down in Denver, if you can believe that. The way Todd has hit over his career at Coors Field, you figure that the good game against the Giants on Thursday would spill over to the weekend, but it didn't happen. Here he's behind in the count, 0-2. Didn't it seem over the weekend that the entire trip to Denver he was behind in the count, 2 strikes? So Todd in what's become a relatively familiar position.
And he had the best success in his career against the Colorado Rockies up to that last series.
Morris deals 0-2 to Hundley, and that rides high. Tom Pagnozzi, the catcher, reaching up for it. For some reason, the Cardinals were very late in announcing who their catcher would be. They left one spot in the lineup open after the starting lineup had been distributed. It was either going to be Eli Marrero or Tom Pagnozzi, and they decided to go with Pagnozzi. 1-2 to Hundley, tap foul. Todd looked as though he was ready to really blossom after having 3 hits in the game against the Giants on Thursday. It didn't happen for him over the weekend. Bobby Valentine's not too concerned. Just wants to keep rolling him out there. That's hit hard and just foul. So on 1-2, Hundley drives it foul. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hundley here does this so many times. He gets out in front and pulls the ball hard, foul.
And again, Hundley down on strikes. For the 9th time in the last 3 games, plus this at bat, that Todd Hundley has been struck out. 2 men away. Brian McRae coming up. Why would you figure, Ralph, that he'd be out in front so often at this point? Is it still a matter of getting comfortable?
I think more than anything, it's his style of hitting. He has had that all his career in the major leagues.
Brian McRae out in front of the off-speed pitch, 0-1.
And it could be the fact that he's got to be over anxious.
McRae 0 for 7 against Matt Morris. Fouls it away. It's 0-2. Mets with 2 in here in the first inning. Cubs and Giants going to play each other tonight, so one of those teams are going to slip back while the other one wins. Hundley continues to look for a comfort zone. Piazza leads, and Morris misses. Cray's been hot for weeks, hitting at .333 over his last 19 games. And the 1-2 pitch, off speed and high. So Morris really laboring here in the first inning. In fact, Tony La Russa said the reason that he allowed Morris to go the 131 pitches in Milwaukee is because he felt he might have shortchanged him his start before that. He said maybe I took him out too soon after he'd thrown 92 pitches in his previous outing. Cardinals had an off day on Thursday, so he's had an extra day's rest. And a line drive on one hop, fielded by Kelly, side retired. So Piazza gets the Mets on the board early as he doubles in two. One of 2 hits for the Mets. They leave one, middle of the first at Busch Stadium. The Mets 2 and the Cardinals coming up. This year for New York, he's won 10 and lost 4. He's taken 3 straight no decisions. Let's take a look at the Cardinals lineup turned in by Tony La Russa for tonight's game. Pat Kelly, the former Yankee, leading off at second with Ray Lankford in center and Mark McGwire at first. Brian Jordan in the cleanup spot. Ron Gant in left. Tom Pagnozzi behind the plate. Fernando Tatis at third. Look carefully now. That's not a misprint. That's the pitcher, Pat Morris, batting 8th. La Russa's done that with his pitchers for about a month now. And the shortstop is Luis Ordaz, batting 9th. And so Leiter, who's had the lead in each of those 3 no decisions, only to see the bullpen fail to hold it, will go after the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. Leiter starting place second. See that 2.34 earned run average. Only Greg Maddux has a lower one. Maddux at 1.53. So Pat Kelly, like Leiter, a former Yankee, looks at a fastball upstairs. 1-0. Delino DeShields, the regular second baseman, just came off the disabled list before the game today. He had arthroscopic knee surgery. The Cardinals have struggled at the top of the order, although La Russa has liked what he's seen from Kelly. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kelly played at Syracuse in the minor leagues before coming to the Cardinals. Hit .280 with 17 home runs, 37 batted in. He was traded to St. Louis for cash.
Cardinals think Delano DeShields is going to leave after this year. But here's the story in St. Louis. The home run ball.
Missed with a slider, 2-1.
It's amazing, Ralph, looking back at the Black Sox scandal, how the home run ball saved baseball. Now after the labor problems, it looks like the home run ball's making baseball even more popular.
History repeats.
Smashed against the railing right in front of the Mets dugout. Somebody's going to get a white towel and start waving it. That might be Butch.
You wonder how a ball player, a batter, can be this far in front of a pitch and hit it that far foul. That is what you call really bad timing.
I knew somebody was going for the towel.
You can slice the ball that way, but to pull the ball that way is unbelievable.
Kelly pulls it to the hole. Ordonez can't get him. And it's an infield hit for Pat Kelly. Long throw for Ray, and on his knees, he just couldn't get enough on it to nail Pat Kelly, and the Cardinals have the leadoff man on.
Well, Fran, the Cardinals have seen a lot of great shortstop play from Ozzie Smith.
And even Ozzy's impressed with this guy, Ray Ordonez. He puts him in the Ozzie Smith League, although he's unable to get Pat Kelly at first base. Ozzie didn't do that. Ordonez utilizes that left leg when he slides better than anybody.
Ray Lankford takes a ball.
Have you ever seen a shortstop slide as much after ground balls?
No.
Including Ozzie.
Ozzie didn't have the arm that Ordonez has, but he certainly had the agility that Ray has.
2-0 now to Lankford. Wonder how much Ozzie's, if he ever had the inclination to slide like Ordonez, would have been compromised because of the artificial turf on the infield as well.
He'd have to get a new pair of legs and skin.
There's his retired uniform number. They've done a great job remodeling Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. That's hit deep to center by Lankford. It's going to be over McRae's head. On his way to third is Here's Kelly. He's being waved home. Baerga will not make a relay throw. It's a double for Langford. The Cardinals have one of those runs right back. It's now 2-1 New York. And for Langford, has been the Cardinals' hottest hitter since the All-Star break. RBI number 74.
But if you're a manager with Al Leiter on the mound, you see a left-hander scorch a ball like this, you have to be concerned. Early in the game, Leiter getting the ball up, and Langford hitting the ball very hard. Left-handers historically have struggled against Al Leiter. Al Leiter's the type of left-hander to get a manager to change his lineup and load up with right-handers.
So Langford. Sorry, Ralph.
I'm going to say, what do you do here? Do you pitch to McGuire or not?
Well, Bob Apodaca was asked that question before the game. And he said, you know, the game situation, especially later in the game, will dictate, but he wants to go after him. They want to get McGuire. At least that's what Bob Apodaca, Bobby Valentine's pitching coach, was saying before the game. So we'll see how Leiter handles him here.
McGuire has 103 RBIs. The next batter has 67. McGuire has 46 home runs. Brian Jordan, the next hitter, has 17.
Deep to left field. If it's fair, it's gone. Just foul. The only question was fair or foul. As far as the distance goes, the only question was upper deck or East St. Louis, Illinois.
Well, they got a fastball inside, and it was only the foul ball that kept this far from being home run number 47.
He knew it was going to curve foul.
Well, I guess they're going after him, huh?
Now might change their mind.
Remember, this is a guy who's walked 26 times intentionally.
This would be number 27.
Walked 121 times all told, and a lot of those were unintentionally intentional. Leiter missed outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's got a chance to set the all-time walk record of 170. Babe Ruth was walked 170 times in one season.
That's a strike, 1 and 2.
And when you look at Mark McGuire, Ralph, he's not only a power hitter, he has a real nice swing.
Short. Real compact, real short. He has a great swing, and he has handled it better than any batter in the history of the game of baseball as a home run ratio.
And the 1-2, a fastball up and in.
Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan both say that Mark McGuire is the greatest home run hitter of all time. Nobody's like him.
Funny thing about him is he seems to have matured into a better hitter. Never mind the home runs, just a better, more polished hitter over the last few years. See Langford leading from second, and Leiter looks him back.
And you look at this ballpark, it's never been a home run hitter's ballpark, although they've made some adjustments with the fences. He played in Oakland, another ballpark that's tough on home run hitters.
It's 2-2 to McGuire with nobody out. Langford leads from second. And that missed away.
He has a bat speed of 75 miles an hour. The fastest ever recorded.
I don't think they were recording him about 40 years ago.
No.
This is almost unbelievable. I mean, effectively, that's a full season. 70 home runs. And the payoff pitch. Came inside, but off the plate. And so, for the 122nd time, a walk to McGuire. And the boos for Al Leiter. Just as every other pitcher's received them who walked McGuire in this ballpark.
And, of course, the guy batting behind Mark McGuire has been delivering all year, batting .325.
Yeah, you know, you think of how much it means to have support in the lineup. Told you about 26 intentional walks from McGuire. Maris was not walked intentionally at all in 1961 because he had Mickey Mantle behind him.
I've heard a lot of the old timers say, when are they going to start pitching around McGuire? Well, they've been pitching around McGuire all year.
Brian Jordan benefiting. Takes inside for a ball. Jordan 6th in the league in average at the start of play tonight. He could walk at the end of the year. There's a lot of talk about whether or not the Cardinals would move him prior to the trade deadline a couple of weeks ago. Mets were one of the teams reportedly very much in pursuit. And it gets away from Piazza. The runners will move up. So Leiter came down and in with a slider, and now there are 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. And just as Morris struggled in the top of this inning, so is Leiter here in the bottom half. He scored a wild pitch against Leiter, only the second that he's thrown this year. So the Mets leading 2-1. Langford's the runner at third, McGuire at second, and still nobody out here in the last of the first inning. First of a 3-game series from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The infield setback, although time is called. Even when Bobby Valentine plays his infield in, usually he'll start them like this and then creep them up. But in this situation, first inning, 2 on, unlikely he'd move them in. And that's ripped. Ray Langford might have seen his life pass by as that ball sailed just overhead.
One of the reasons you lead off in foul territory, if that ball hits you in fair territory, you are out.
That ball hit Langford, he would have been out even though he was in foul territory.
In
Out
2
cold.
ways, yeah.
By the way, first base is still open and Ron Gant is on deck.
So 3-1 to Jordan with that open base.
Gant batting .219, but he's got some pop. He's got 18 home runs.
So we'll see what Leiter gives Jordan here on 3-1 with first base open.
If this was the 8th inning, they'd walk him and pitch to Gant.
Every inning is the same as far as runs are concerned.
That's right.
So he's handled Leiter well.
Some managers manage differently late in the ball game as opposed to early.
Reaching out, chasing McRae back. That should tie the game. Langford strolls home from third. McGuire holds at second. Sacrifice fly for Brian Jordan. And the Cardinals have come right back to tie it 2-2. First out of the inning recorded by Leiter. So the wild pitch hurts if the pitch selection was going to be the same. The end result, the tying run.
Some of the players that played for Whitey Herzog over the years felt that he was one of the few managers that managed early in the game the same way he would manage late in the game.
Whitey, an outstanding manager.
Breaking ball to Ron Gant, 0-1, who at one time was an outstanding hitter. Although since becoming a St. Louis Cardinal, and he's making big bucks here, he's been a major disappointment, certainly in terms of the average. He's already surpassed his power numbers from last year.
He's a good fastball hitter. He's had trouble with the breaking ball. But he made a statement last year I was surprised at, Ralph. He said that he's not the type of guy that can carry a club. He doesn't want to be the #1 guy. I was surprised he made that statement.
That sits away, 2-1.
Well, he's in a perfect position with this club. He doesn't have to lead the club.
He was the lead. He was the lead guy for a while, and then Jordan came on, and they went out and they got Mark McGuire.
Gant's never had a hit against Leiter in all of 6 plate appearances. Leiter inside, 3-1.
And Howie mentioned how they signed him to a long-term contract. When they signed him to the long-term deal, they felt he would come over and lead with his bat.
Gant played 1 year in Cincinnati after leaving Atlanta. 3-1 pitch, a little nubber. Piazza will take it. And Gant's retired. Moving to third is McGuire. So 2 out now. McGuire 90 feet away as Piazza throws out Gant. And the catcher Tom Pagnozzi will be next.
Gant here right over the top of a hard slider. And a good play by Piazza to get him at first base.
Piazza coming out there shooting a hurry. And flips to get Gant at first base. Flips the ball to John Olerud.
So with 2 men away now, the Mets will go after Tom Pagnozzi, the catcher. First ball hitting, he fouls it off the railing in front of the dugout. No balls, one strike. That one had significantly less giddy up than the one that was smacked over there by Kelly. Magnozzi, one of 3 catchers the Cardinals are carrying, also have Eli Marrero and Tom Lampkin. Magnozzi missed a good chunk of last year because of leg injuries. Alfonso has time, and the side retired. So pretty good bounce back by Al Leiter, although the Cardinals do tie it up. There were 2 hits, a walk, and 1 left. End of 1. It's 2-2. The dime, the bank that's with you all the way. So each team with a 2 spot in the first inning, and we go to the second here at Busch Stadium. Mike Piazza drove in the 2 for the Mets. Al Leiter gave him right back. Although Leiter did a good job to get out of the inning, retiring the last 3 batters after a single, a double, and a walk started the inning against him. So the bottom third of the Mets order here in the second inning. Carlos Baerga, Ray Ordonez, and Al Leiter for New York. And the first pitch from Matt Morris. 1 ball, no strikes. That is the longest drought of his career. 1-1. Remember, this was a guy who drove in a couple of runs, or I'm sorry, drove in 100 runs a couple of times while with the Cleveland Indians in the American League. Pulled to Kelly at second. Baerga retired, 1 man away.
Ralph, it has to be a confidence problem with Baerga as far as the long ball is concerned, because he's 29 years old. He still has good bat speed. And he seemed to have lost his home run stroke from Cleveland to New York.
You think it's a difference in the pitching in the National League?
No. I mean, you face a lot of these guys in the American League the way players move around today.
Well, that's true, but at the same time, we haven't seen the Baerga of the Cleveland Indians.
And he still has good bat speed.
Ray Ordonez takes low, 1-0 to Ray.
But he struggled when he came over to the Mets. He had injury to his stomach, which had a negative effect on swinging the bat.
Ordonez shoots it through the hole. Past Ordaz. And Ray Ordonez continues to get his hits. I mean, he's put up some outstanding numbers since the All-Star break to get that average up into the 260s.
He is hitting .382 since the All-Star break. And he has raised his average in his last 76 at-bats at .328. The Mets are red hot as a team since the All-Star break. .290 a team batting average.
So Al Leiter in a bunt situation pulls it back, 0-1. Leiter 4 hits on the year and 36 trips.
Mets are second to the Colorado Rockies in that department, team batting, since the All-Star break. Colorado Rockies over 300, and they can't win.
Tough to pitch in that place, as we saw again this weekend. Darryl Kyle did a pretty good job yesterday. That's about as well as you can pitch under normal circumstances at Coors Field. Of course, remember Hideo Nomo, who really struggled yesterday, pitched a no-hitter there, but under inclement weather conditions. Good bunt by Leiter. The only play will be to first. So the sacrifice 1-4 if you're keeping a scorecard. Ordonez down to second with 2 men away.
Good job of bunting here by Leiter. He still has trouble running. Gets ahead of the bat on top of the ball, which is a must in bunting well.
So Leiter executing perfectly, and now Tony Phillips in an RBI situation. He has driven in 3 runs since joining the Mets. Tony grounded to first on the first pitch of the game. Somewhat unusual to see him first ball hitting because he has worked a lot of deep counts. Behind here, 0-1. Came into this game with a .413 on base percentage as a New York Met. 2 outs in the second, tied at 2. And the breaking ball missed. 1-1. Fly ball towards the left field line. Gant over. And the side retired. He was in fair territory when he made the grab. And the Mets are done here in the second. No runs, a one-out hit. Middle of the second in St. Louis. 2-2. I'll have that answer for you a little bit later on. Wire and Maris. Don't forget about Ken Griffey and Sammy Sosa. Fernando Tatis, the Cardinals' third baseman, takes a slider inside. Tatis picked up from the Texas Rangers.
And the Cardinals then released Gary Gaetti.
Tatis has talked about feeling very uncomfortable here in the National League, at least for the time being. Inside again, 2-0.
Talking about Griffey, he hadn't had a home run in his last 42 at bats. He's gone 9 straight games without a home run.
Yeah, a lot of people felt he would have the edge, especially because they play in a smaller park indoors. 3-0 now to Fernando Tatis. Getting into the point of the season now where maybe you start to feel the travel a little bit more. Weather is normally very hot, as it is here in St. Louis today this time of year.
Can't affect Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, that's the point about the indoors, is 4 straight pitches from Leiter wind up out of the strike zone. Interesting thing about Griffey is Tatis will go down to first base. He said right around the All-Star break, he says, don't even bother talking to me about the home run record. I'm not going to do it. It almost sounded as though he was disassociating himself from the chase, even though he figures to be pretty close to it by the time the season's over.
Probably a pretty good move. Also, a guy like Sammy Sosa keeps saying that Mark McGwire's the guy. He's not the guy, yet he trails him by 2 home runs. He's going to say that until they get 60.
Well, here's one of the reasons that Al Leiter didn't bother a whole lot with Fernando Tatis. Tatis, the seventh hitter in the Cardinals lineup, but look who's batting 8th. It's the pitcher, Matt Morris.
But here in this spot, he's in a bunting situation, so they really have it set up the way they want it. He'll sacrifice here.
Showed little inclination as he pulled the bat back, and just getting back to first is Tatis.
It looked like he was trying to decoy his swing and then try and bunt, but it'd be unusual here for him not to try and sacrifice. Incidentally, this system has not worked at all since the All-Star break when they first tried it, having the pitcher bat 8th. They have been less productive all the way around. Runs scored, also, and chances to score runs.
That looked like a hit and run right there, and Tatis was able to get back to first.
Olerud has to go to first. Baerga covers, so they execute perfectly as Tatis moves on to second.
Watch Piazza. It looks like Tatis is on the move, and he sees that Morris couldn't handle that ball. It was inside, and Piazza throws to first. It might have something to do with he didn't pick him up right away between first and second when he was pointing into the eyes. He's pointing. It looked like to me like he was pointing at his eyes. He didn't get a good look at Tatis.
Well, Piazza can get a good look at him now because Tatis is straight ahead of him in scoring position with 1 out. Not for the leadoff batter, but for light hitting, at least to this point, Luis Ordaz, who inherited the shortstop role here in St. Louis when Royce Clayton was traded to the Texas Rangers. And a slider in the dirt, 1-0.
All of a sudden, the Cardinals are getting back into at least a wild card race.
Well, they're 7 games back of the Cubs, but they've got a lot of teams in front of them.
And they traded their best pitcher away.
You wonder if they would have done that if they felt they could, if they had a legitimate shot at the wild card. Next week they'll be in New York. 4 games in 2 days. Tony La Russa will bring his Cardinals to town, so Shea Stadium should be jumping. Mark McGwire, he'll be there.
2-1 now to Ordaz.
They also traded away their shortstop. So you think that they have really given up.
Royce Clayton now in Texas.
That's Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, and his call was to unload some salary, especially guys who stood to leave at the end of the year. He did that with Stottlemyre. Tatis running, the pitch fouled away. So with one out, Fernando Tatis trying to steal third.
And Tatis with a big jump, but fortunately for the Mets, the ball was fouled off.
Well, Tatis with that good jump off second base. And he had third base stolen, but the ball's fouled off, so he's back at second.
Two and two to Luis Ordaz. Baerga sneaking in, but Tatis gets back.
Ordaz had a 2-for-5 night Friday night against the Cubs here at Busch Stadium. Place was rocking over the weekend, the Cubs and the Cardinals. Cardinals sweeping the Cubs.
That's one of the biggest rivalries in baseball.
Cardinals have won 5 in a row, 2 against Milwaukee in the 3-game weekend series against the Cubs. And the 2-2 pitch outside. So Leiter now full to the number 9 batter with Pat Kelly on deck. Mets scored 2 at the top of the first. Cardinals got him right back. Sounds like he broke his bat. Alfonso cuts it off, and Ordaz retired. On to third goes Tatis, 2 men away.
And Al Leiter will break all kinds of bats when he's on the mound. That was really a broken bat jam job there.
Ordaz putting that ball in play, and Alfonso making a play to first base. Tatis now on third.
Another piece of wood gives its life in the name of a pitcher. So Tatis 90 feet away. Pat Kelly had an infield single to start the Cardinals first. And the breaking ball from Leiter sits high, 1-0. Tony La Russa was saying that he'll use Kelly at third base or in the outfield once DeShields reestablishes himself at second base. Like what they've seen from Pat Kelly. Out in front, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, those eyes even bulge a little bit when he's on deck. Leiter hits the inside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Not even on deck, really. He's in the hole. Ray Lankford is due up next. So I guess that's visualizing, huh?
He has to do it with the aid of a contact lens. He has 2,500 in one eye.
Well, from 60 feet, 6 inches away, he's 20/20, all right.
And for years, everybody talked about how great Ted Williams, how great his eyesight was. You got a guy like Mark McGwire who can hit, and he's in trouble with his eyesight.
Well, he was a pitcher until he corrected his vision with the contact.
To the comfort of many hitters.
He was a pitcher in college, and then in one year he ended up hitting and impressed everybody. Almost was a #1 draft pick by the Mets. Joe McIlvaine called his father and said, "We're thinking of picking your son #1. Will he sign with us?" He said, "I'm not sure." So they didn't pick him.
Leiter strikes out Kelly in the side. Edgardo Alfonso doubled his first time up. Takes a curveball for strike 1. Alfonso came around to score on Mike Piazza's 2-run double. 0-2 to Alfonso. Remember John Olerud on deck trying to tie Hubie Brooks' all-time Mets consecutive game hitting streak record at 24. With Alfonso on second last time, Olerud didn't get much to hit. And now a pop-up in foul territory. That's handled by McGuire.
That's one thing that's been overlooked by people when they talk about McGuire is his defense. Cardinals think he's an outstanding defensive first baseman.
Well, it's the Mets first baseman who takes center stage right now. John Olerud walked and scored on Piazza's first inning double. Gibby Brooks hit in 24 straight games in 1984. Got him traded. 0-1 to Olerud. After that season was over, he went to the Montreal Expos in the Gary Carter trade. Olerud leading the major leagues in hitting at the start of play tonight. Breaking ball in the dirt, 1-1. Remember, the Mets have never had a batting champion. So John Olerud making a bid to get into the Mets record books in a couple of categories. Fouled away, 1-2.
And the on-base percentage league leaders, the Continental Airlines, brings it to you. McGuire on top. McGuire's on top of everything. You got Olerud, Sheffield, a forgotten man in Los Angeles.
2-2 now to John.
And he is one of the top paid players in the National League and treating by large margin in the important departments.
Line drive right at Ron Gant. So Olerud in 2 plate appearances without a hit, now 0 for 1 with a walk. 2 out, nobody on. Piazza coming up. And let's go back to our Aflac trivia question and get it settled for you. It's a bit of a trick question only because the Yankees, because of a tie game in mid-season, would play 163 games that year. So although Maris missed 2, he played 161 of the scheduled 162. But with that tie game, the records counted, but the game, of course, did not count in the standings. That's what Mark McGuire is chasing this year. 2-0 now to Piazza. Mike now has 68 RBIs after that double in the first inning.
Piazza with a line drive in the gap in left field and a 2 RBI double, and the Mets take the early lead 2-0.
Breaking ball hits the outside corner, so it's 2-2 now to Mike.
Saw Mike Piazza and Mark McGuire having a long conversation before the game around the batting cage. They rope off the area here in St. Louis. You can't get near the batting cage during BP for the Cardinals. Then when the Mets took BP, they took the ropes down.
Well, they had a big crowd in the ballpark as far as batting practice hours go. But it's not like they had 25 or 30,000 people here. Just a little bit up and in.
And we've seen McGuire take batting practice where it's really something to behold. Today it wasn't. He was just getting loose.
Of course, the first ball he hit for a home run was hit into the upper deck.
Yeah, but I've seen him in a number of them up there during BP.
And the payoff pitch by Morris. That'll back up Ordaz, and he can't handle it.
That is called letting the ball play you. He backed up, and that took the chance of his fielding the ball cleanly away.
Well, they tell an infielder that he should charge just about every ball that's hit. Ordaz moves back. That ball played him. That's a great example, Ralph, as you mentioned, of the ball playing the infielder. Ordaz on his heels. If he fields this ball cleanly, I don't know if he throws Piazza out at first base because he was backing up.
Would you call that a case of handcuffing the fielder?
The official score credits Piazza with a base hit.
And the fans were booing.
Todd Hundley struck out his first time up.
Whoa.
Deep to right field. And this going to be Hundley's first home run of the year.
He crushed. Look where that ball landed.
4-2 New York. And that'll probably relax Todd Hundley. He hit that one to McGuire country. McGuire, of course, pulls him to left. Hundley pulled this one to right.
I like the way Brian Jordan watched it. Brian Jordan, the right fielder, just turned around, watched the ball sail way into the seats. He hit that ball into luxury suites in right field.
78th at bat for the Mets and his first home run. The last couple of years, he's hit a home run on opening day.
Yeah, 4 years in a row he'd done that. So this feels like opening day to Todd Hundley now, probably in more ways than one, even though he's been playing for about a month. 1-0 to Brian McRae, and the Mets have their 2-run lead back. It's 4-2. And McRae lines one down the line, and that's a fair ball. The carom played by Jordan. McRae on his way to second, and it's a 2-out double for Brian McRae. So even though Mike Piazza was credited with a base hit, the ball that he hit to the shortstop still might have been enough to get the Cardinals out of this inning. 1-2-3. As it turns out, it has ignited a Met rally, and Todd Hundley was the igniter switch here.
This ball's hit as far as any we've seen this year, Ralph.
A high fastball, and Todd knows it is gone. And it was a landmark home run.
So he probably feels all the way back now. And Carlos Baerga takes in the dirt. I mean, if Todd Hundley was over anxious, now that he's got his home run, you think that'll calm him down a little bit?
It certainly will help. He's a home run hitter. 41 to break the all-time record for home runs by a catcher. Roy Campanella held that record for years and years.
Todd never gets cheated in his swings. It's not as though he's going to cut down on his swing now that he's got a more wide comfort level. Baerga out in front there, as Hundley's been lately, 2-1. I would think it's all about relaxing now for Todd Hundley, and you would think that he's finally in a position to do that.
Confidence and relaxing go together. Which comes first? The chicken or the egg?
That'll work for you.
Getting base hits.
So even though you hit all those home runs, a base hit would be enough to make you feel like you had that comfort level back?
And yeah, it really does. I think a hitter worries more about prolonged slumps without base hits than he does about a continuance of home runs. But definitely there's pressure on, like it is with Griffey. 9 games without a home run, the pressure starts to mount. And he, no matter what he says, wants to hit a lot of home runs.
Was your philosophy go through the middle when you were in a slump, like I've heard people talk about?
Well, that is one way. That means you stay back, and that's one of the best ways to do it. I took a lot of batting practice and tried to start out just hitting the ball up the middle. And then I tried to pull everything.
Well, Baerga called out on strikes, side retired, but nice to see that smile back on Todd Hundley's face. This is why. That's a lot of smiling in that swing. It gives the Mets a 2-run lead once again. First of the year for Todd.
At Cavatelli.
Better to spend some time than here in Big Mac land. The fans have their yellow hard hats on in case one crash lands here during his at-bat. You can feel the emotions building as he makes his way to the plate. Second batter of this inning, fellas. You know, he can reach this no problem at all.
Well, if Cal Ripken's streak was the early symbol of baseball's revival after the strike a couple of years ago, really that's 3 years ago now, this is the one that cemented it. Mark McGuire. But first it's Langford, who doubled in a run his first time up, and he takes down low, ball 1. Mets now leading 4-2. They have 6 hits, the Cardinals 2. 2-0 on Langford. 10 homers since the All-Star break. Batting over .340 now since the break. Two and one now on Langford. Langford came up to the Cardinals right around the same time that former Met Bernard Gilkey did. That's when the Cardinals let Vince Coleman and Willie McGee go and started to turn their outfield around. 2-2 now to Langford. Langford at times has appeared to be on the verge of turning into one of the 5 or 6 most complete all-around players in the game. Leiter misses inside and the count's full.
Yeah, the breakthrough year in '97, hit .295 with 31 home runs. 98 runs batted in.
And the payoff pitch lined right at Hundley and stays with it. So 1 man away. All right, Mark McGwire coming up. He walked the first time up. What is Bob Apodaka's philosophy about pitching to him?
That's a pitcher's mentality right there.
Mm-hmm.
One ball, 1 strike now to Mark McGwire. Now, he's not sitting on a record with his next swing, but you couldn't tell by all the light bulbs flashing, huh?
They take pictures hoping to get that home run swing, but that statement by Apodaka is a pitcher's philosophy. Thank God for hitters for thinking like that. That's exactly what a hitter wants a pitcher or pitching coach to think. When you can hit like this guy, you don't want to take him on. But they do, and that's why you see so many home runs hit. He has 7 weeks to go, and he has to average 2 home runs a week for the 7 weeks, plus 2 other home runs to hit 62.
He had the swing on for number 47 there, as he did his first time up, but now it's a full count.
It's amazing. Here's a good swing right here. Swings right through it. Flash bulbs all over the place. It's like a rock concert.
Got him. Leiter strikes out McGwire. 2 men away. Second strikeout for Al.
Another thing that helps a home run hitter have a great year is to strike out a considerable amount. Because by striking the hitter out, they think they can do it again.
Well, the ball Leiter hit, McGwire hit his first time up just foul. He just swung and missed at the identical pitch. Fastball inside part of the plate.
So 2 out, nobody on. Brian Jordan drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the first inning.
It's funny when Leiter missed with a couple pitches, the fans here started booing him.
One and one now to Jordan. Leiter gave up hits to the first 2 batters he faced in the first inning, Kelly and Langford. He's not given up a hit since. 2 outs in the third, 4-2 New York.
Jackie Joyner Kurtzy, the great sprinter, her husband has worked with Jordan, in getting his body into good condition. He's been on the DL a lot, and he said to Jordan he was in terrible shape. He has taken on a program to get in better shape.
Popped up to the right side. It should end the inning. Baerga there, and the side retired. So Leiter gets the Cardinals in order, and at the end of 3 here in St. Louis, Mets by 2.
It's a fly ball to right field. Jordan makes the grab, 1 down. Let's go back to Mark McGwire's last at bat and take a look at the pitch sequence, Ralph.
Okay, here's the first pitch. Fastball on the outside corner. Good pitch there. Change up down low. And the slider back inside. Now again the slider. And the fastball missed. That was a good pitch to hit right here, back with the fastball. And McGuire strikes out for the 106th time.
And the batter now will be Al Leiter. It's 0-1 on the Met left-hander. He takes inside from Matt Morris. It's 1-1. Outside, 2-1. Big crowd on hand tonight. First of a 3-game series. You can catch all the action for all 3 games right here on Fox Sports New York. Up high to Leiter, 3-1. Keep in mind, the Cardinals come to town for 4 games in 2 days. Big Mark McGuire leads them into Shea next week. There's a strike. 3-2 on Leiter. And Morris walks Leiter. So with 1 man out, Matt Morris walks the pitcher. And Tony La Russa, I believe he just told McGuire to play behind Leiter at first base. Leiter having a conversation with McGuire at first base, and the batter now Tony Phillips. Phillips popped out to first base and he flied out. Digs down low, ball 1.
Now, for each home run hit by the Mets this season, Fox Sports New York makes a contribution to Ronald McDonald Charities. Todd Hundley hit one earlier. It's Mark McGuire country.
So Al Leiter leading off first base. And Phillips drives this ball to center field. Great play by Langford. Outstanding play, taking an extra base hit away from Tony Phillips.
Well, they had a center fielder named Curt Flood that was great for the Cardinals right here. Langford makes a wonderful play on a hard line drive by Phillips.
So 2 men are out, and the batter, Edgardo Alfonso. Runner still on first base, Al Leiter.
Curt Flood changing the game of baseball when he refused to go on a trade to the Philadelphia Phillies from the Cardinals. In that trade, Tim McCarver.
Alfonso takes a strike, 0-1. A lot of players changed uniforms in that trade, right?
Quite a few.
Richie Allen coming to St. Louis. Alfonso fouls it off. So it's 0-2.
There was a former Met involved in that, too, as it turned out, because when Flood refused to report, the Cardinals had to substitute another player, and that player turned out to be Willie Montañez.
The original hot dog.
Yeah, and how.
Montañez was substituted for Curt Flood. Flood had to sit out, and later on came back with the Washington Ball Club.
Alfonso hits the ball right down the third baseline. It's fair to throw to first, not in time. So Edgardo Alfonso with an infield hit.
Good play by Tatis on this ball to field the play, but he couldn't get enough on the throw to get the runner at first.
So the Mets have runners on first and second, and the batter, John Olerud. Olerud walked his first time up and came around to score. And he lined hard to center field, so he's 0 for 1. Takes the breaking ball up high, 1-0 on John Olerud. Now batting .351. Needs a hit to extend the hitting streak to 24 games, tying Hubie Brooks. And he drives this ball to deep left field. Gant in pursuit and makes the grab at the wall. So Olerud hit the ball hard twice and is 0 for 2 in his ball game. Mets fail to score. They strand 2. As we go to the bottom of the 4th, the Mets have the lead, and we'll be back.
Let's meet the Arizona Diamondbacks. For tickets, call 718-507-TIXX. That's 718-507-TIXX.